What's a thing you were feeling really nostalgic about and you decided to try it again, only to be like, wow, this actually really sucks? I recently watched part of an episode of the TV show The Love Boat because I loved it when I was a kid. But man, what a crappy show. I couldn't stomach 10 minutes of it. Anybody remember that old Shadow the Hedgehog game? My brother and I loved that game when we were kids. Used to play all the time. It was definitely our #1 favorite for a while. We got hold of a copy a few years ago and were so excited to play it again after all that time. Yeah, holy moly, it's bad. The controls are so bad. How did we even play it back then? How did we beat levels? I really liked Full House as a kid. It was my favorite show at age 4 and I had every season on DVD. I didn't watch it again for about 15 years, until I found my collection packed away in a box. Decided to put it on for old time's sake. The lesson I learned: if there's an old kids show or movie you remember loving with all your heart as a kid that you haven't seen since then, don't freaking watch it. 'Cause holy frick, did that show actually suck. Oh man, I did this with Knight Rider. The theme song was nostalgic awesomeness. Then people started talking. Watched Goosebumps for the first time since I was little, thinking back on how good it was and how scared I got. It is laughable how bad it is now and the acting is worse than most P scenes. I have been binge watching it recently, lol. I kinda love how corny and predictable it is. Chef Boyardee recently came out with their throwback original recipe. I had one a few weeks ago. It did not taste anything like I remember as a kid. It was way too sweet and I didn't like it. So why did I like it then? Your taste buds change a lot as you get older. When I was a kid, I saved up and bought a Pentax P3 camera. It was a pretty nice camera and I took a lot of pictures with it. My sister, a few years older than me, borrowed it from time to time to take pictures for the high school yearbook. One day, my camera was stolen from her locker. By this time, I wasn't really using it much anymore, mostly because my sister always had it. But still, it was my camera that I'd saved up for. That year at Christmas, my parents bought my sister a camera. They actually bought me something else that I think I wanted more than I would have wanted a camera, but I was irate. My camera gets stolen and my sister gets a camera. Every year after that, when my parents asked me what I wanted for Christmas, I'd always start with a Pentax P3. Every year. Fast forward to about the year 2000. My parents bought me a Pentax P3. It was kind of garbage. I was very disappointed. Golden Corral Restaurant. Years ago when I was a kid, my parents would take my brother and I there and I remember completely slaughtering the mac and cheese and okra and the rolls. I took my wife a few years back, mistake, and we just thought about germs the whole time. Also the mac and cheese was bland. OMG, yes, buffets are really gross when you aren't a little kid. It was so sad the first time I went after a few years. I was all excited just to find out the food was not all that great and it was quite unsanitary. I used to make myself banana and mayonnaise sandwiches as a kid. I called them bananaise. Convinced my college roommates it was actually not bad and I made everyone their own bananaise sandwich. I took the first bite before everyone else and made the decision to throw everyone's away for them, including my own. WTF was wrong with you? Banquet frozen fried chicken. We used to get it as a kid and I remember loving it. Bought a box for my family and it was only 4 pieces. And I could barely identify what parts of a chicken they were. The breading was crap. The meat smelled weird. I threw it out. Dude, me too. They have to have changed the recipe. It tastes completely different now. Freshman year of college, an acquaintance and I were waxing nostalgic about how freaky messed up the Lloyd in Space Halloween special was, so we decided to just watch the whole thing. That night, we found out that both of us had completely repressed the memory of the ending being a completely boring buzzkill, instead of the super dark, ambiguous ending that it would have been had the episode ended 2 minutes earlier. The most surprising thing about this is that 2 people both watched Lloyd in Space. Went back and watched a couple of classic Tabascus videos recently, like the Assassin's Creed trailer song, because I thought it was the best crap when I was like 15. Really embarrassingly disappointing. Like I was actually embarrassed that I showed them to people when he was at the height of popularity. To be fair, Toby is meant for a younger audience, so it's not like you were a weird kid or anything. The thing I hate about all of these food examples is there's a good chance the company restaurant changed the recipe in recent years for the worse to turn a profit. So it only actually really sucks because it's literally not the same thing you ate years ago. Reminds me of when some candy company got accused of reducing the size of their product. They responded to the guy on Twitter with something like, "It's the same size it's always been. You just got bigger silly," and then he posted a side by side of the new small size and the original big one. Going to the pool. Nowadays I just worry about all the kids that are peeing, or people with wounds that are just letting that crap be all willy-nilly in the water. But when I was a teenager, I witnessed a toddler in the process of creating a floater. I never went swimming in a public pool again. That old cartoon Street Sharks. Freaking loved it as a kid. Tormented the entire series a few years back and holy crap was it bad. There was a few so bad it's good moments, but the majority was just bad. I'm going to refer to torrenting as tormenting from now on. Thank you. We're not pirates anymore, we're tormentors. Dating. After a decade out of the game trying it again. It's not even not fun. It's demonstrably terrible. Will continue because, honestly no clue. I remember dating being fun. Getting to know someone was interesting. This feels like work. Sorry to be a downer on your nostalgia thread. The flavored Quaker oatmeal packets. Now that I'm grown up and eat a lot better, I realized how freaking sugary they really are. IDK, the peaches and cream one is pretty dope. The maple and brown sugar will always be my favorite, but dang is it sweet. I got a box of honeycomb cereal. It was like the pinnacle of cereals when I was in elementary school and I ended up throwing half of it out. On a positive note, I got some Trix yogurt and had a blast eating them. I shake up eating one side at a time and mixing them together. Silly rabbit. Trix are for kids. Just excitedly watched Flight of the Navigator with my son. Loved the movie as a kid, but I completely forgot that the ship spoke in a Pee Wee Herman voice throughout much of the movie, which is really annoying now. Forgot that the ship spoke in a Pee Wee Herman voice. It literally was him. Carnival rides. From a little kid to a teenager. No fear. Fast forward to my late 20s. Yeah, frick that. Thought I was gonna die. The spider at King's Island is pure evil. As an adult, knowing it's traveling carnies that put these rides together in a new place every week is what makes them truly scary. Chef Boyardee. Stocked up on a bunch of canned goods before Hurricanes Irma and Maria and thought Chef Boyardee would be good because I liked them as a kid. Fast forward to not having power for 3 months and refusing to eat any more Chef Boyardee after the first can because it was so grossly sweet. OMG, this sounds like actual heck. I hope you get something different for your COVID-19 prep. I got a credit card right after I turned 18. Friends would give me cash and I'd use it to buy them stuff on eBay. One friend wanted the old Legend of Zelda cartoon. When it arrived we watched several hours of that and the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Thanks to the experience I now have a list of things I enjoyed in childhood I'll never, ever revisit. But that show is awful. Well, excuse me, princess. CC's Pizza. I remember it being so delicious when I was a kid. Went last year and it was hands down the worst pizza I've ever had. Tamagotchis. I tried one at 19 again after 10 years and boy did it great on me when it got upset I didn't clean up its crap. Realized I'm not ready to parent. Cosmic brownies. They're so much more magical when you're a kid. Don't get me wrong, they still taste okay. Perhaps I'm missing the feeling I got when I opened one from my pack lunch from home. Made me happy for a bit every day. At a bakery I worked at a while ago, I was tinkering with a vegan brownie recipe and stumbled upon making a dang near exact duplicate of the cosmic brownie. Those suckers flew off the table. Spy Kids was my favorite movie as a kid and I hadn't seen it in years. Watched it recently and it was a rough sit. I could barely make it through. I'm still waiting on instant McDonald's machines to happen though. The oatmeal that has the dinosaur eggs in it that dissolve into candy dinosaurs. They had it when I was a kid, discontinued it for a while and brought it back when I was in college. Tried it, so disappointed. I remember the dinosaurs were always way too hard and didn't taste amazing. especially if you ate them when some of the egg was still stuck to them. It was never about the flavor, it was about dinosaurs. I remember Gushers being the pinnacle of individually portioned fruity, gushy goodness, but when I tried them recently they were completely and utterly disappointing. Gushers are still great, too messy for my kids though. World of Warcraft. Played from 1724 and loved every second of it. Tried it again recently and just soured on it completely after a day. Won't go back. Can't remember the last I played. It wasn't classic though. Legion was great. BFA made everyone quit in disgust. John and Vasquez's comic books. I was super into I Feel Sick and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac when I was in high school. A decade later I found them while sorting through boxes of old stuff and sat down for a nostalgic reread. Good lord. I thought those were so deep when I was 16. Is it still Fremdschirmen if you're feeling shame for the actions of your past self? Invaderism is still dope though. I didn't think JTHM was deep, but it's definitely something. I enjoy it though. Ran very fast in high school and always felt like I could attribute some of it to my Reebok electrolyte shoes. They were a huge deal at the time due to being the lightest thing ever. Just ridiculously light. I'm an adult now in my mid-30s. See the shoes get re-released like everything nowadays. Snag a pair so dang fast. Not so light anymore. Like at all. Comparatively, the nostalgia was incredibly short-lived. Plus they fit funny but only in one shoe somehow. Turns out manufacturing isn't what it used to be anymore. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Myself. Your feet might also be different sizes. Watching the original Sailor Moon anime. I loved it as a kid, but when I rewatched it was so repetitive and boring, I could barely get through an episode. When I was a kid, my parents did not want me to have a lot of sugar or caffeine, so they would mix my soda with milk. We called it milk pop. My sisters and I would ask for it all the time. I was talking to my sister about and we decided to try it again. It's disgusting. Why did we ever ask for this? What was wrong with us? Excuse me while I go vomit. A Nokia old school style phone. I forgot that there was so much less texting back in the early 2000s. Mashing a traditional mobile keyboard is not fun. Hey, at least with the old keyboards you could text without looking. Hamburger Helper. Loved that stuff as a kid. Tried it a couple of years ago as an adult and it was like eating a block of salt. You gotta add stuff to it like veggies and crap. Make it your own by using it as a base for your dinner. Sweet toothpaste. When I was younger I always used sweeter tasting toothpaste. I switched to the General Mint when I was around 16 or 17. Good 17 years later I try my daughter's toothpaste just to see. Yeah, no, that is gross. Pop-Tarts. They're just nasty, but every fall semester in college I'd get excited about having independence again and I'd buy them. Also Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 is a nightmare to play as an adult. I keep going into debt. Everyone hates my park. Nothing is fun about it. Shut your mouth. RCT2 is awesome even as an adult. Most cereals have been reformulated and taste nothing like they used to. I'm looking at you, Honey Smacks, Apple Jacks, and Cracklin' Oat Bran Sad. Don't get me started on Fruit Loops. Going camping. Was an Eagle Scout. Loved camping. Now I love hired points and a waterfall shower head. And not waking up feeling like I took a knee to the spine. The TV show Daria. I loved it as a teen, but as an adult, Daria herself just sounds cunty, and I sympathized more with Quinn. It came out in my 20s and I look at it as more as what a teenager thinks life is, but as she grows older she matures and realizes things aren't as bad as they seem. One thing I love about the show is that most of the characters seem to grow up. Daria herself stops hating the entire world and becomes part of it. Quinn realizes that her looks and popularity aren't everything. This might be a bit unpopular, but Star Wars. All of it. As a kid I watched the original trilogy on VHS until the tapes broke, then begged my parents incessantly until they got me new ones. I had all the toys, merch, posters, even my bedding was Star Wars themed. After watching the new movies, me and my buddy were like, this is trash compared to the original. So we watched the original trilogy. We rapidly began calling out just as many stupid points as the new ones had. As an adult, I suddenly realized the original trilogy was just as full, if not more so, of plot holes, logical gaps, dumbass ideas, and just plain nonsense. People tend to forget that watching anything as a kid is done, though kid eyes, with this amazing suspension of disbelief and blurry lines between fantasy and reality. You'll never recapture that. There will be a whole generation of kids who love the prequels because they saw them when they were 7, and that's okay. I used to eat milk bones, dog biscuits, at my grandma's house as a kid. Loved them. Tried them again at around 16. Just wasn't the same. My sister and I tried playing with toys again when we were about 15. After dropping them at about 11 or 12, we lasted half an hour, and it wasn't very fun. We had a really complex world which we had been expanding on since about the age of 6, and unfortunately it died with our childhood. We just couldn't get into it. Star Wars Episode 2: The Attack of the Clones. For years I raved about it being my favorite of the saga. However, after rewatching those Padme and Anakin scenes, I could not stop cringing. I think you mean Attack of the Clones, friend. Skiing. You wait in line for like an hour, in weather so cold your snot freezes, to go down a hill for 7 minutes if you stretch it out. Then you get back in line again. You're just skiing in the wrong places. Fruit gushers. I loved them as a kid, so I bought some years later. I bit into one and could feel my teeth disintegrating. Slip and slide. So fun as a kid. Such a wildly different experience as an adult. Slamming my body into the ground at running speed. I didn't have breasts or hips as a kid. Now I totally understand why my dad would only go down the slip and slide once and then say, yeah, I'm good. None more for me. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.